Hello everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. In this session we will be painting loose flowers like wildflowers. I'm gonna stay with the blue, violet and violet color theme, and we're gonna use the complementary color. For the blue will be orange yellow, and I'm also gonna be using violet, and the complementary will be yellow. So the flowers will be blue and blue violet, and the center of the flower and around the background will be more in that orangey yellow color theme. And I'm trying to kind of match these colors of my oil impasto painting. And I really love this combination of that ultramarine blue with some purple and these vibrant oranges. They beautifully complement each other. That's what I'm gonna try to do for the flowers. And I'm gonna start with simple sketch, just pretty much indicate the composition. So the center of the flower, and it's gonna have some petals going up and down. We're gonna have a little bit of the perspective. We're gonna have another flower going right here. I'm just starting with the center and indicating the petal direction, and we're gonna have a couple of smaller flowers up here. And for the stems and greenery, we just gonna go intuitively. As I said, it's gonna be more like intuitive painting. So we have centers, and now we're gonna have fun. I'm gonna start with spritzing my watercolors and the paper. I'm using 5x7 100% cotton paper and my favorite brushes. I have number 10, round, 8, 4, and the liner. Everything will be in the description. So I'm gonna start with number 8. So I sprayed some water. I can actually start with 10. I love large brushes. And okay, let's start with number 8. I'm just gonna be splattering some ultramarine blue, creating those beautiful intuitive washes and textures in the background. And now I'm gonna be dropping ultramarine blue, creating those petals, and let them bleed naturally. And I'm gonna add that violet by Daniel Smith color. Very loose for now. So with that ultramarine again. Violet and our main flower. So I don't worry too much about the shape right now. So everything is loose. I'm gonna even loosen up more and let it bleed into the background and lift some. So I'm creating that wash. And right here I'm gonna lift a little bit with paper towel. And I will splatter complementary yellow color right here in the corner. And right here, bottom right. So pretty much around. And now I'm gonna go with damp brush, dab it off a little. And smudge. I'm not doing it too much. I don't press it too hard. I don't want to create that brown that purple and yellow can create. I'm just lightly dabbing with my brush very softly. I need some more yellow right here. And I will give a spritz. Let it bleed. You can tilt your paper, play around. If it's too much water, you can just dab it with paper towel. Control so it does not create that brown. And let's do some more ultramarine. And I will add purple. So I'm gonna dab with paper towel the center. And right closer to the center, I'm gonna dab in that purple. Let it spread. More pigment. I'm keeping the center the darkest and leaving that center piece to add orange yellow. So I'm dabbing more because it's gonna dry a lot lighter. And I would like to add some indigo right here in the center area. Dab, dab. Pull some in the direction of the petals. Dab, dab right around the center, leaving that white in the center and just going towards the petals. Dab, 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 dab around. You see how I just did the negative painting and around that white oval. And I will go with darker ultramarine blue and dab in that ultramarine again on the damp paper. Let's do on this one. And that violet again. So I'm just building that medium to darker values. So I pretty much have like starburst, no flower shapes yet, and I'm gonna be dropping in greens. Just very loose, let them bleed beautifully, naturally. Okay, that's supposed to be a flower. Let's fix and give that more like a flower shape here. So I'm gonna do the same thing, going around that circle, oval in the center, and just let it naturally bleed. So we can dab in some darker green, parallel green here and there, very loose, green shades. So I'm just intuitively filling in the background around. So I will do some yellows Again, more orange. And I will splatter some orange right here. While it's still damp, that's a great opportunity to add those textures and those intuitive, beautiful marks. So some you can bleed all the way to the edge, some you can leave white, so I'm just gonna leave it as is, maybe add some more green, more intense green for the leaves, loose. And before drying, I will use paper towel and just dab in, create some interesting marks, textures. And now we'll wait until everything is dry. I love this beautiful granulation of ultramarine blue. So we have no shapes here. Now we're gonna be playing with some details. And I'm gonna use number 4 Aqua Elite in orange color. It's more like milk consistency. And I'm gonna dab off some water and we'll be painting that center. So the bottom of the flower will be darker orange. And the top will be more yellowish and light. So that's gonna be the bottom. Just dabbing in with tip of the brush. Cleaning my brush, going with that light cadmium yellow light. Thick consistency, and I let them bleed together right here in the center. That's beautifully complements that purple color now. Dab, 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 leaving some whites to keep it interesting. And the bottom of the flower, the bottom of the center, I will add that indigo, really dark and very thick consistency, so it doesn't bleed too much into my orange. It's still gonna bleed a little. This is what I need, but mostly it's gonna stay. But it has to be really thick, right at the bottom of that center. So for the paint to move a little bit, I'm dipping in the water just slightly. Dab, 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 dab. Creating that depth. You see, the bottom of the flower is really dark. Then we have a transition to orange, medium value, and the lightest our yellow. Now I'm gonna use more water, dab it off, and just create some lines going from the center to the direction of the petals. Still, I don't have too much water, but the paint moves better now. So as long as it moves, it's good. So I'm gonna do same on all of the flowers, creating some veins and details. Okay, now I'm gonna use purple, dabbing off, and we'll be creating some petals using tip of my brush. And now I'm going to be pressing on the side. Mostly tip and then pressing. And I'm going in with ultramarine blue and my purples I used earlier to keep it interesting. And using that side of my brush, pressing, and then using a tip to create those pretty shapes and variety of strokes. You see how I just drew the flower using different shades of purples and blues. Now dabbing in some more veins, pulling them out, some shorter, some longer. And if you see some petals are flat, you just use side of your brush and create that interest. Very shape of the petal, make them more interesting and different. Simple. So I'm gonna do same here. Just gonna draw some petals, different shapes. And now we'll use side of my brush and add that interest. Okay, maybe ultramarine blue. Gonna do the same with this flower, just using tip of the brush, creating funky intuitive strokes, side of the brush, and adding that depth in the petals. This one can be lighter at the top, so like sunlight hitting, and the bottom will be darker. So drawing petals with the brush, the tip, then just pressing the side, creating interesting details and adding depth into the petals. So I'm smudging some of them. Okay, let's see. So these petals look very similar, so we need to vary them in shape. So use tip of your brush, make it more freehand and loose. So I'm washing brush, some of them I'm just smudging, and I will splatter some ultramarine and probably a little bit of phthalo turquoise. To create more of those interesting textures, and now I'm smudging around. Oh yeah, now they look more interesting. Now on this side I'm gonna add some of that orange. You can splatter some and just go around to complement that yellow brighter, to complement that purple. So I need more of that light bright yellow. So, and I'm painting negative around. You see how beautifully it complements. Now I can just dab in that yellow around my other purple flowers. Can splatter more. And remember, always look at your color wheel. So we have purple, right? We're gonna try to make that bright, warm, yellowish, more like greenish color. So with side of my brush, I'm just going around, smudging and layering on top of that purple. Make sure your background is dry. We don't want to create those brown, dirty colors. You see how beautiful? So we can transfer these colors at the top, staying with that bright yellow, adding some negative painting around and smudging and adding some in between. Beautiful. I love those contrasts. We're gonna add a little bit warmer tone on this side. So again, the negative, washing brush, dabbing off, and just smudging. Adding this yellow, splattering, dabbing lightly, smudging. There you go. So we can, now let's wait. Before that, I'll just splatter some on my flowers a little bit. But when you do that, make sure everything is dry. So I have that nice glaze on purple. Beautiful. But if it was wet, it would totally mess it up and make everything brown. Okay, now we're gonna wait and add some details on the leaves. So everything is dry here. I'm taking my number 4 again, stiff brush, Aqua Elite, round, and we'll be playing with greens. I'm using Perylene green. Gonna add some undersea green. Dabbing off, almost dry brush. Gonna create some interesting leaves using again tip of my brush and then side of it. Tip, side, just intuitively adding leaves here and there. Using variations of green. So in here, I'm just gonna add a little bit of negative painting. And add some interesting textures, leaves. Make it more loose. So let's see what else. So maybe more. Yeah, I'm not sure about these leaves. I'm just gonna make them larger and paint on top. Can add some brighter. Want to fix that leaf here. Okay, and let's add a few interesting greeneries here and there with tip of the brush. And let's see. I think I want to add a few purple strokes in the flower. In the center, and then just pulling away towards the petals. Yes, I want to add that dark value. and some lines in the petals. Okay, I'm gonna wait for this to dry. Now I'm looking at my painting and analyzing what do I have here. I have beautiful complementary colors, purples with yellows. I have dark values, I have medium, and I have light values. All I would like to do here, just add a few highlights with white gouache. If you guys not fans of the gouache, you can just stop right here, but I would like to make those like tiny details and add a few interesting lines. I'm using tip of my brush, side of it, just intuitively adding stylized lines and a few highlights. Add a few highlights in the petals, a little bit in the center, just intuitively make my final touches and my flowers interesting and popping. So this one, let's add on the side, maybe add a highlight here, there, just few dabs on the dark, few lines in the petals, one thicker line. So you see I'm making variations of the brush strokes and not overwork it. It's so important. You see we added those highlights and maybe one or two more and need to stop. We'll do same, just a couple of brush strokes on your darkest values in the leaves. If I don't like it, I just gonna take water and smudge it. It gives me that extra texture. Boom, boom, dabs here and there. And that's it, stop. And I can add a few splatters with number 8. But it's totally up to you guys. Now washing brush, dabbing off, and just lifting up some of those droplets. But look how beautifully they add that extra texture and life here. Okay, I'll show you in a second the details. Maybe a little bit on that dark green leaf, and that's it. I'm just gonna sign my name, initials, and we'll show you the final result. I hope you guys liked it. Comment please if you would like to see anything specific. Check out my Patreon for exclusive tutorials, and comment with your ideas if you want any specific fruit or vegetable tutorial, and I will consider that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you soon in my next video. Have a wonderful day.